With all due respect, I want to speak directly with the Chief of Defense Staff, who said that every disappointment is a blessing, not in all cases, not in this scenario, not in these circumstances. With due respect, General Musa Christopher, I want to remind you that not in this case, every disappointment is not a blessing. Don't deceive Nigerians. There is fire on the mountain. Things has fallen apart. Nigeria is being taken for granted. That is the simple explanation. And how could Nigeria wake up to the realities? So telling them that every disappointment is a blessing is worsening the situation, is making them, distracting them from the realities on ground. Nigerians are being taken for granted. Now, not just Nigerians, even the government of Nigeria is being taken for granted in international communities. In the Committee of Nations, Nigeria is taken for granted. Nigerian government, not just Nigerian masses. We've seen several insults, violations, and intimidations, harassment Nigerians are passing through, even in embassies, in airports, how they are being disparaded, and the rest of them is history. Even some government officials are being screened in a way that you begin to perceive if they are being considered as criminals because of the public image, the damaged public image or reputation of the Nigerian state. That is just the truth. There is no need mentioning words or managing, economizing words. Nigerians have been, and Nigeria is being considered as a lawless state, a state where there is no regard for the rule of law. In fact, the gross violations of fundamental human rights and the rule compliance to the rule of law is abysmal, is down to the earth. It's negative, as it's been reported by those in charge with the compliance and the monitoring of the respect to human rights and the compliance to the rule of law, ranked Nigeria as 120 out of 140, falling below war-torn Ukraine and even the military ruled Mali, Burkina Faso, and the rest of them, that even they have more respect and their tolerance and compliance to the rule of law is far better than what Nigeria is today, that claims to be practicing democratic process. It is badabash. It is quite insulting, very horrible experience, and it affects the psyche of an average Nigerian, wherever they are. Some persons have argued that they felt ashamed to identify themselves as Nigerians because the way they will be treated, the way they will be seen or looked at will be so humiliating that you would even have imagined or wish the earth to open so that you will fall and hide yourself. That is quite destructive. So Christopher Musa, who in the recent past have called on the Nigerian government, the executive, that the only way you can fight insurgency is 85% involvement of, or 75% involvement of the executive. Those within the corridor of power, they should uphold the rule of law and compliance to human rights, upholding the dignity of human life and respect to the rule of law. If Nigeria can violate their own laws, so what do you expect Committee of Nations to see them or perceive them as? It's quite unfortunate. So, not every disappointment is a blessing. Some disappointment is a cause, is a rejection, is a horrible experience. As this case, how could a chief of defense staff of a whole country, another service chief, be embarrassed, disrespected in such a manner, and you are coming to say that every disappointment is a blessing? No. What can Nigerians do? You have said in your previous statement or media briefing that fighting insurgency is just 30% kinetic. When there is rule of law, when there is compliant to the rule of law, when there is less corruption, when the government do what is needed, when they create opportunity, when they invest on human capital development, of course, all these criminalities index and, of course, quick money syndrome will drop. This is painting Nigeria black in the Committee of Nations, and the representatives, some government top officials are not helping issues. Just as Tinubu, when he went to meet Saudi king, said, let them come and invest. Because they were being apprehensive, they are being scared that some government officials will rob them, will subject them to exploitations, bribing, corruption, and the rest of them. Tinubu said, any government officials that ask you for bribe, just reveal the name to me, which means where are the government officials? The House of Representatives, the Senate, the rest of them, the ministers, and the rest of them. We want any slightest opportunity to reach themselves. Their interest is not to build a coherent and egalitarian society where everybody will have a sense of responsibility and we have a sense of belonging. Because before you have a sense of responsibility and commitment, you must have a sense of belonging. You must be integrated into Nigerian agenda or Nigerian program, and of course, be given opportunity, recognized, be given your rights and your values, your expectations will be lived out. Millions of Nigerians are leaving the shores of this country on daily basis, and wherever they reside, wherever they go, they do some menial jobs. They are being insulted, exploited, some sexually, some being, of course, falls in the hands of organ harvesters. This wouldn't have been the case if things are being put in the right order. So this is a wake-up call for not just Nigerians, for those within the leadership hierarchy, those who are exploiting, who don't mind what the public or other international communities are perception about Nigerians is. But today it's beginning to pay off. It's no longer individuals. Now they are now feeling the heat. You see how they are vibrating. You see how they are annoyed, angered by this development that is a disrespect for the government and the rest of them. This is just the beginning. Because any man who does not regard or respect himself in the public is calling for embarrassment. And that is just it. If Musa, the chief of defense staff, and other security chiefs can be insulted because of what is going on, because of the realities on ground, the government's sincerity in fighting corruption, see how it's being played out. They are watching all these things. How money meant for developmental projects and all that are being cornered into private purse, just as the Binance CEO was allegedly accusing Nuhu Ribado, the DSS, and the House of Representatives. All these shenanigans, of course, does not augur well in the Committee of Nations. And this have been the reason why some persons are arguing Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. You know what that means? Go and look up that in dictionary. And that does not help issues. People have been calling. We don't want to remain in Nigeria. We don't want to be seen or perceived to be people with corrupt tendencies, with high corrupt tendencies. Before Committee of Nations, we have been disparaded, we have been insulted, humiliated because of that one name, Nigeria. We want to dissociate, disintegrate, and remove ourselves from such identity that brings shame, disgrace, and disparage to our human dignity and the right to expression. Wherever we are, whatever we're involved in, Nigerians will be scrutinized, subjected to high level of scrutiny. Who we want to identify with that? Nigerians don't deserve this. Unfortunately, the government's institutions are worsening the case, as Nigerian police is being regarded as the worst police in Nigeria, in the whole world. The worst police in the whole world because of what they are playing out. Of most recent, we saw where a police official was dragging a pregnant woman, and of course, the PRO, police PRO, have to respond to that. But how on earth could you have imagined that? If it were to be his wife, can he drag his wife? Of course, some men could do, because, in fact, what they are taking is what is controlling them. That's why there have been several calls that even these officials, public officials, security operatives to be subjected to some level of scrutiny, mental examinations. They are addicted to some certain drugs that is affecting their mood. Let's have your own take regarding this. So every blessed disappointment, no be blessing, not before this one, not before this case. It is glaring that Nigeria is being taken for granted, not Nigerians at this time. This is Nigeria being taken for granted as a mockery, as people who are not serious. They are not ready to become a nation. That you just see. No wonder the less Wolowo said that Nigeria is a mere geographical expression. They are not yet a nation. Zeke, the founding fathers, said that broken bottle has no metabolism. What does that imply? That the state of Nigeria as it stands now has no remedy. Being broken by corruption, insecurity, endemic gross violations of fundamental human rights. The only thing that could be done is to discard that foundation and begin a new negotiation or renegotiation for a new way forward. Possibly the balkanization of this country so that each region can manage their own problem peculiar to them. Governance way of building their own resources, their own economy and security in the collective good of those within those regions. This is the only way Zeke, of course, could rest in peace because he has been uh, a strong supporter of the one Nigeria. But eventually, in the latter days of his life, before his demise, he said Nigeria cannot work under these current configurations. And of course, that is the truth that is still staring at us. Some persons still living in denial, but that would not dismiss the reality, the fact that Nigeria was not designed to succeed. It was just a British business initiative or to protect the British business interests. It was not meant to address the economic security and welfare of the citizens or ethnic nationalities within this defined contraction or geographical space.